Imagine this. She's outwardly composed, perhaps even a little guarded, yet beneath that surface, a silent current of desire begins to stir, solely because of you. She isn't just hearing your words, she's replaying them at night, imagining moments that haven't even happened. Most men chase, they beg for attention, but the truly unforgettable man understands a secret language, a subtle art of triggering deep-seated female fantasies, not with grand gestures or empty compliments, but with a psychological presence that makes her want to chase him. This isn't about manipulation, it's about authentic power. If you're ready to unlock this level of effortless attraction, to become the man she can't stop thinking about, then stay with Stoic Love, because this will fundamentally change your understanding of desire. Welcome to Stoic Love, where we delve into the profound psychology that governs human connection, helping you master not just yourself, but the art of effortless attraction. Most women will never tell you what truly turns them on, not directly, not clearly, not loudly. But every woman, deep down, harbors secret fantasies that yearn to be triggered. And when a man learns how to speak in a way that subtly plants desire in her subconscious mind, she begins to seduce herself. You don't need to force anything. You don't need to prove yourself. You utter a single sentence, and she replays it in her thoughts at night. You hold steady eye contact, and she starts imagining intimate moments that haven't even transpired yet. You want her to crave you, to long for your presence, without you ever having to explicitly ask for her attention. Then you must learn to trigger her deepest fantasies. Not with your physical body, not with your material possessions, but with the sheer power of your awareness, your presence, and your calibrated words. Let's break down this profound wisdom. There are, fundamentally, two types of men in the world when it comes to attracting women. There are the ones who relentlessly chase, who constantly try too hard, who over-explain themselves, spilling their intentions and insecurities. And then, there are the rare ones who possess an inexplicable magnetism. They sit back, they speak less, and somehow, they become utterly unforgettable in a woman's mind, their presence lingering long after they've physically left the room. This video, my friend, is unequivocally for that second kind of man, or more importantly, for the man who is ready, right now, to become him. We're not talking about cheesy pickup lines or manipulative tactics that feel insincere. We're talking about a profound psychological presence, about uttering something so calibrated, so impactful, that it takes root and lives vividly in her thoughts. We're talking about becoming the man she fantasizes about, not because of what you do physically, but because of what you powerfully make her feel mentally, emotionally, and subconsciously. When you truly learn to speak to her mind, to her deepest desires, her body will, almost inevitably, follow. And if you genuinely support this channel, Stoic Love, you're not just growing alone. You're actively helping hundreds, even thousands of other men gain access to the type of transformative insights that fundamentally change how they show up in the world, how they connect with others, and how they confidently lead their lives. Your likes, your thoughtful comments, and your shares are invaluable. They help us push this powerful truth into a world often saturated with noise and superficial advice. Support the mission. Reclaim your true edge. Let's begin. 1. The "I can't control myself around you" effect. Women, despite popular belief, don't necessarily want you to be overtly perfect. What they profoundly desire is to feel powerful in your presence, to feel deeply desired, exquisitely irresistible, and uniquely awakening. And one of the deepest, most potent psychological triggers for a woman occurs when a man, A man who is typically calm, utterly composed, and supremely confident loses just a little bit of that control solely because of the unique and undeniable effect she has on him. That, my friend, is the absolute key. It's not about appearing desperate or needy. It's about subtly, artfully, allowing her to feel that she possesses a singular, unique effect on your inner world. An effect that is genuinely hard for you to hide, difficult to contain, and utterly impossible for you to ignore. It's the flicker in your eyes, the slight shift in your posture, the almost imperceptible tremor in your voice that betrays a deeper current of attraction. When you lean in slightly and with a low, steady voice, utter something like, "I'm genuinely trying to behave myself tonight, but you're making that incredibly difficult for me." You create an immediate, charged space. You allow her to feel like she is, without a doubt, the reason for your sudden, delightful emotional tension. She doesn't just intellectually hear those carefully chosen words. No, she feels them reverberate deep within her. She begins, almost instinctively, to picture what it would truly look like if you really did lose that meticulous control. She imagines that exact moment, that raw, powerful shift, that irresistible pull between you, and the entire fantasy begins to write and unfold itself vividly in her mind, taking on a life of its own. It is absolutely crucial to deliver this message with an underlying current of profound calmness. Do not say it like you are pleading for her attention or begging for a response. Instead, say it as if you are simply stating an undeniable truth, a compelling reality that is just too potent to hold back any longer. It should sound like you are confessing a hidden storm brewing behind your otherwise calm and composed eyes. This exquisite contrast, your natural restraint subtly mixed with a sudden, captivating honesty, creates immediate friction in her mind. It's an emotional friction. It's a powerful, undeniable sexual friction. And the more collected, grounded, and unshakable you appear the rest of the time, the more devastatingly powerful and unforgettable that one line becomes. Consider the difference. If you are constantly showering her with compliments about her looks, relentlessly chasing her with overt flattery, always trying to impress her with forced jokes or exaggerated stories, then a line like this loses all its weight and impact. It becomes just another compliment in a sea of many. But if you have maintained a consistently composed, deeply grounded, and somewhat mysterious presence, and then, at a perfectly timed moment, you allow that one carefully chosen line to subtly slip out, it lands with the force and unexpectedness of a thunderclap in the middle of a perfectly quiet field. She remembers it. She replays it in her mind, over and over. Because you didn't just say it, you masterfully made her feel the profound weight and intoxicating meaning behind it. And this, my friends, is the profound secret of this first fantasy. Women profoundly desire to feel like they awaken something unique and utterly primal within you that no one else, no other woman, can possibly touch or stir. They want to be the singular reason a man of your caliber, a man who typically wears an impenetrable armor of composure, deliberately chooses to drop his guard just for her. And when you give her that precise moment, when you lean in slightly, hold her gaze with unwavering intensity and whisper, "You, my dear, are trouble. Good trouble." You're not merely trying to turn her on in a superficial way. You're giving her something infinitely better. You're giving her the exhilarating, unforgettable experience of feeling too desirable to resist. From that moment forward, every single time she thinks of you, she will vividly recall that electrifying spark, that profound shift in your demeanor, that tantalizing, slight loss of control. and her imagination, a powerful force, will begin to wonder, with a delicious intensity, what it would truly feel like if you completely gave in to that irresistible pull. That thought, that lingering, tantalizing possibility, that is precisely what will keep her coming back, both in her mind and, eventually, in reality. This isn't about being weak, it's about strategically revealing a controlled vulnerability that highlights her irresistible power. 2. The "I want to ruin your lipstick, not your life" energy. There is a rare, intoxicating moment every woman secretly yearns for, a fantasy etched deep within her subconscious, to be seen simultaneously as both exquisitely beautiful and alluringly dangerous, to be perceived as soft yet utterly untouchable, gentle yet fiercely wild. Most men, unfortunately, never truly grasp this delicate balance. They tend to fall into one of two extremes. They either place women on an impossibly high pedestal, worshipping them like delicate, fragile angels, afraid to truly engage with their full spectrum, or they swing to the opposite extreme, going full edge, treating women like objects to be ruthlessly conquered or easily dismissed. But the man who possesses the subtle artistry, the profound awareness, to speak directly to both sides of her, to her inherent femininity, and to her untamed inner fire, that is the man who truly stands out in her memory. He becomes an indelible imprint. This powerful fantasy, the "I want to ruin your lipstick, not your life" energy, begins with a carefully crafted phrase, delivered with a specific intent, and designed to resonate long after the night ends. Imagine yourself in a vibrant setting, perhaps a bustling social gathering, or a quiet, intimate bar. You lean in, your voice dropping to a low, steady tone, perhaps accompanied by a slight, knowing smile. You might utter something like, "I'm always intrigued by women who can be both incredibly soft and subtly dangerous at the same time." Notice, you're not directly complimenting her physical appearance. You're not showering her with generic praise. Instead, you are inviting her into a deeper, more profound connection. You are, in essence, giving her unspoken permission to be her full, authentic self, not just the polished, sweet, and appropriate version she typically presents to the rest of the world. And that, my friend, unlocks something deeply primal, something fiercely alluring within her, because every woman, at her core, harbors this profound duality. She yearns to be adored, cherished and treasured, yet simultaneously, she craves to be passionately ravaged, intensely desired. She wants to be respected for her intellect and her strength, yet paradoxically, she also desires to be utterly devoured by raw, consuming passion. She wants to be held with the utmost gentleness, as if she were made of fragile glass, yet also to be gripped with the ferocity of a raging fire. Most men, paralyzed by fear or misunderstanding, shy away from this complex balance. They consistently swing to one extreme, unable to reconcile these seemingly opposing forces within her. But the man who not only names both sides of her nature, but articulates it as if he is ready and eager for both, he instantly becomes the embodiment of her fantasy. This isn't about being crude, vulgar, or overtly sexual. On the contrary, it's about elegant danger, a refined sense of allure. You speak with profound intention. You strategically leave gaps, pregnant pauses, allowing her imagination to fill in the blanks. You plant potent ideas and allow them to bloom, organically and powerfully, in the fertile ground of her subconscious mind. You might say things like, "You seem like the kind of woman who knows precisely how to ruin a man, in the absolute best way possible." Or, with a suggestive glance, "You're probably quite dangerous when you're truly comfortable around someone. And I, for one, would absolutely love to see that side of you." These are not merely generic pickup lines. These are subtle, powerful invitations. They are invitations for her to express her hidden self, the parts she typically keeps guarded and concealed. Think about the woman who spends the vast majority of her life being responsible, composed, guarded, and impeccably polite. When you, with a calm confidence, tell her that you see the untamed, wild part of her, and more importantly, that you want to experience that part, something profound shifts within her. She starts thinking differently about herself, feeling a fresh wave of emotions, and desiring something she might not have consciously articulated. And when you perfectly pair this verbal invitation with your own calm, unshakable energy, your steady, grounded presence, it becomes an undeniable force. You're not afraid of her wildness. You are, in fact, profoundly drawn to it. You're not here to control her, to tame her, or to put her in a box. You are here, uniquely, to unlock her. She feels this deeply, and she remembers it vividly. That's when you deliver the iconic line, "I want to ruin your lipstick, not your life." And you say it with a look, a gaze that tells her with absolute certainty that you mean every single word. It's playful, yes, but it's deeply anchored in genuine desire and respect. It's fun, but it's crystal clear in its intention. It communicates, "I want the very best of you, the most passionate, uninhibited parts, not the broken, damaged pieces. I'm not here to exploit you or use you. I'm here to profoundly experience you in your raw, authentic glory." That single phrase alone creates its own captivating storyline in her mind. She begins imagining your hands gently cupping her face, her lipstick deliciously smudged from your ardent kisses, her breath quickening, her thoughts momentarily vanishing, her entire body awakening, all from one potent sentence. That, my friend, is immense power. Not power achieved through dominance or aggression, but through exquisite precision and psychological understanding. And when you possess the mastery to speak to a woman's inherent duality, when you skillfully trigger the part of her that yearns to be deeply loved and cherished, alongside the part that desperately wants to be passionately taken and uninhibited, you don't just capture her fleeting attention. You capture her entire imagination. And once you have taken root in her imagination, her body, with its own undeniable desires, will almost inevitably follow. This is the Stoic love way of creating irresistible attraction. 3. The don't act innocent, I see the real you game. Women navigate a world that relentlessly expects them to be perpetually polite, flawlessly composed, universally nice, effortlessly sweet, and always unfailingly appropriate. It's an exhausting, often limiting societal script. But beneath that meticulously polished surface, there exists another profound layer, a hidden fire, an untamed wild side, an aching craving for permission to step out of that restrictive shell. This permission, however, is granted only for the right man. And that man is decidedly not the one who is loud, crude, or overtly aggressive. It is instead the man who possesses the quiet confidence to look her directly in the eyes, offer a knowing, gentle smile, and softly, yet confidently, call her out on her act. This, my friends, is the fantasy, where you speak not to the carefully constructed version of herself she presents to the world, but directly to the part of her she diligently hides. It's the part of her that aches to be playfully teased, subtly dared, and ultimately unmasked, but only within a safe, intriguing space. You lean in, with a calm, inviting smile and a steady, unwavering tone, a palpable spark dancing in your eyes, and you utter, "I know there's a wild side hiding behind that innocent look." You say it not to expose her vulnerabilities, but to invite her, to subtly challenge her to reveal more. And in that precise, electric moment, something truly transformative happens. She feels, with an undeniable certainty, that you have, somehow, cracked her secret code. This fantasy is profoundly about recognition. It's about a woman who has likely spent the majority of her life explaining herself, defending her choices, and conforming to expectations, suddenly feeling deeply, truly understood. Not through hours of laborious conversation, not through intense therapeutic self-disclosure, but in a single perfectly timed sentence, in one knowing look, in one subtle yet powerful shift in your energy that communicates to her, I feel what you feel. I see what you're hiding. When you deliver that line, what you are truly, powerfully communicating is, you don't need to hide that part of yourself from me. I am not scared of who you truly are, in all your raw, authentic glory. In fact, I desire her. That, my friends, is an incredibly potent message, because most men, in their interactions, either play it far too safe, revering her as if she were made of fragile glass, afraid to touch her true depths, or they play it too aggressively, forcefully pushing for something she hasn't yet given permission for, disrespecting her boundaries. But the high awareness man, the man who embodies Stoic love principles, walks the masterful middle path. He doesn't beg to see her depth. He doesn't demand it either, asserting his will. Instead, he simply names it, acknowledges its presence, and then, with profound respect, he lets her choose to reveal it, to unfurl herself in her own time. This is precisely what ignites genuine spark, authentic connection. You're teasing her, yes, but with an underlying current of deep respect. You're challenging her, but with an enveloping warmth and invitation. You're subtly telling her that you are not, for a single moment, fooled by her innocent veneer. Not because you're arrogant or cocky, but because you possess the intuitive discernment to sense something far more profound, far more captivating beneath the surface. Every woman has that look, that subtle tell, that fleeting moment when she attempts to play it cool, to deny what she's genuinely feeling, to pretend she's merely having casual fun. But her eyes might flicker, a subtle shift betraying her true emotions. Her breath might change, becoming a little quicker, a little shallower. Her posture might soften, her body language subtly opening, and the man who possesses the acute awareness to notice those nuanced cues, and who can utter something perfectly calibrated at just the right time, becomes, without a doubt, unforgettable. This isn't about being edgy for the sake of shock value or controversy. It's about impeccable emotional timing. It's about saying just enough to make her smile, to gently challenge her a little, and to make her intensely curious about how much you truly know, how deeply you perceive her. You're not forcefully pulling her wildness out, dragging it to the surface. You're subtly, expertly waking it up. And once that door, that inner gateway, is gently opened, everything irrevocably changes. She begins to feel a profound sense of safety in her own intensity, in her raw power. She starts showing more of her authentic self, shedding layers of pretense. Her voice might subtly deepen, imbued with more resonance and confidence. Her eyes will linger on yours for longer, with an undeniable intensity. Her playfulness, once cautious, will transform into a bold, captivating expressiveness. You, my friend, created that powerful shift, not with crude pressure, not with tired pickup lines, but with one potent sentence, delivered at the right moment, that subtly told her, I see who you really are, deep down, and I like her very, very much. From that pivotal moment onward, her desire isn't primarily about your looks, your social status, or your game. It's fundamentally about how you made her feel. How you made her feel free to be her truest, most uninhibited self. Not the version that behaves, that conforms to expectations, but the one who secretly bites her lip when no one's looking, the one who harbors hidden passions. That's when she starts texting you first, an eager initiation. That's when her thoughts, unbidden, drift to you when she's alone, perhaps late at night. That's when her imagination begins constructing vivid scenes and scenarios you never even explicitly suggested. Because now, you are the man who gave her implicit permission to be more, to explore her hidden depths. And once she feels that profound liberation, that exhilarating freedom, she'll want nothing more than to show you exactly what she's been hiding, to unveil her true, magnificent self, just for you. If you're gaining these insights, please ensure you like this video and subscribe to Stoic Love for more transformative content. 4. The I own the room and I still choose you signal. Every woman, at her deepest core, wants to feel chosen, not as a backup option, not as a casual alternative, and certainly not by just any random man. She yearns to be chosen by a man who genuinely has abundant choices, a man who is acutely aware of his own intrinsic value, a man who is decidedly not desperate for connection or validation. And yet, paradoxically, when such a man looks at her, she feels utterly seen, recognized in a way she never has before. That, my friends, is the powerful core of this profound fantasy. Imagine this scene. She's out in a vibrant social environment. She knows, inherently, that eyes are on her. She might be impeccably dressed, feeling confident, perhaps even radiating a magnetic allure, surrounded by a multitude of admiring gazes and eager attention. But when your eyes, calm and discerning, finally land on her, something distinctly different happens. There's no hint of neediness, no overt lustful stare that feels cheap or predatory. Just a calm, knowing glance. A subtle intensity that communicates, without uttering a single word, you're the one. And deep down, you know it too. You, the man embodying this presence, effortlessly walk past a dozen other beautiful attention-seeking women. You possess the confidence and social capital to approach anyone in the room. You're not even actively chasing attention yourself. You're simply grounded in your own being. You are present. You are completely in your element, radiating an understated power. And yet, with a subtle shift in your body language, you lean in ever so slightly and say, with a voice that carries genuine conviction, with all this going on around us, all this noise and movement, somehow, I only noticed you. That line, my friends, doesn't just offer a superficial compliment to her physical appearance. It does something far more profound. It elevates her entire identity, her sense of self. You're not merely praising her for being conventionally pretty. You're communicating, with powerful subtext, that out of everyone present, out of the dazzling lights, the intoxicating music, the countless bodies, the ceaseless movement, your discerning attention became singularly locked onto her. Not because you felt obligated to, not because you were desperately seeking someone, but because she, uniquely, sparked something genuine and undeniable within you. This fantasy powerfully triggers a deep-seated part of her feminine psyche, the innate craving to feel uniquely desired and specifically chosen by a high-value man. A man who doesn't resort to competing for fleeting attention. A man who doesn't require external approval to validate his existence. a man who is already whole, complete, and utterly self-sufficient. And yet, this man, this powerful, self-contained entity, sees something in her that countless others have inexplicably missed. When you deliver that impactful line, do not say it with a smug smirk or an arrogant tone. Say it with an undeniable sincerity, tempered with a deep, calm control. Let the words hang delicately in the air. Let them settle into the quiet spaces between you. Let her wonder, genuinely, why you chose her amidst all the other options. That initial spark of curiosity, that subtle confusion, delicately mixed with genuine flattery, is precisely what ignites the slow, internal burn of desire. She'll remember that moment. She'll replay it vividly in her mind, dissecting every nuance. Because in that fleeting second, you weren't trying desperately to impress her. You were simply, yet profoundly, letting her know that you truly see her. Not just the surface-level attributes, but the deeper presence, the unique energy, the compelling essence that made her, to your discerning eye, stand out from everyone else. And here's what makes this approach so extraordinarily effective. It's deeply rooted in the power of contrast. Most men in social settings tend to be either loudly aggressive, constantly vying for attention and trying too hard to impress, or they are silently shy, visibly afraid to express any genuine desire or interest. But you, embodying the principles of Stoic love, are neither. You are calm. You are composed. You effortlessly hold space without ever chasing it. And when you do finally choose to speak, your words carry a profound, undeniable weight. You create a powerful dynamic where your attention is a coveted prize, something genuinely earned, not something carelessly given away for free. And when she receives that precisely calibrated attention from you, she feels uniquely special. Not merely because of the words you uttered, but because of who you were, the man you embodied while you were saying them. This kind of magnetic energy creates a powerful ripple effect. Suddenly, other women in the room might notice you noticing her. Her social value in that context subtly spikes because of your discerning presence. And she knows it. She feels that subtle elevation. She feels chosen, not by a desperate man, but by a man with obvious options, a man who doesn't dispense his attention recklessly. That exclusivity is intensely magnetic. She starts leaning in, subtly initiating contact, beginning to wonder what else you might see in her that others have completely overlooked. And as that captivating question lingers persistently in her mind, her desire for you begins to grow organically, autonomously. Because the man who truly owns the room doesn't need to dominate it with loud displays. He simply stands firm, confident, and authentic in who he is. And when he offers his attention, with precision, with unwavering confidence, and with a calm intensity, the woman who is fortunate enough to receive it doesn't forget it. Not just for a single night, not just for a week. She replays that moment when she's alone, in the quiet solitude of her thoughts. She wonders what it would truly feel like if your profound focus remained on her for an extended period, perhaps for a lifetime. And that thought, that lingering curiosity powerfully mixed with burgeoning desire, becomes her deepest fantasy. And it all began because you made her feel uniquely chosen by a man who, quite frankly, didn't need to choose anyone. 5. The "you read my mind" whisper. One of the most profoundly powerful feelings a woman can ever experience with a man is the uncanny sensation that he simply gets her. He understands her, without her ever needing to explicitly ask for clarification, without him having to dig for answers, without him needing a detailed roadmap to her inner world. He utters something, and she momentarily freezes, a subtle shock washing over her, because it is exactly what she was thinking, what she was feeling, but hadn't yet dared to articulate out loud. This, my friends, is the coveted "you read my mind" moment. And when you master the subtle art of creating such moments, you bypass her usual defenses and connect directly to her deepest emotional core, creating an unbreakable bond. The fantasy at play here isn't about control or manipulation, it's about profound resonance. It's about the woman who spends her entire life painstakingly explaining herself, justifying her emotions, suddenly experiencing the liberating feeling of being utterly understood. Not through hours of deep, philosophical conversation, not through intense, emotionally draining therapy talk, but in one perfectly timed sentence, in one knowing look, in one subtle yet powerful shift in your energy that intuitively communicates to her, "I feel what you feel. I sense what you're experiencing." Imagine this. You're in conversation, and you notice a subtle shift in her demeanor, a slight change in her eyes, a fleeting expression that betrays an unspoken thought. You lean in slightly, your voice low and conspiratorial, and you say, "You didn't say it out loud, but your body just did." This line lands with extraordinary impact because it directly acknowledges what is unspoken, what is hidden beneath the surface. And every woman, without exception, carries a vast reservoir of unspoken desires, subtle hints, fleeting glances, and inner moments she diligently suppresses. She does this because society has often taught her to be polite, to be guarded, to remain in control of her emotions and expressions. But the man who possesses the keen insight to see beneath that polished surface, who can listen beyond her carefully chosen words, becomes in her mind nothing short of magnetic. You don't need to be psychic, my friend. That's not the secret here. You just need to be profoundly present. That is the true key. You are tuned in, acutely aware of every subtle nuance. You are meticulously observing her tone of voice, the rhythm of her breath, the minute shifts in her posture, the subtle dilation of her pupils, the speed and quality of her laugh. You're not merely hearing her words with your ears. You are, in essence, feeling her presence, her energy, her unspoken language, with your entire being. And when, perhaps, she asks you with a hint of curiosity, "What are you thinking right now?" you don't offer her a typical, mundane answer. Instead, you look into her eyes with a calm, knowing intensity and say, "I think you're far more sensitive than you typically let on. And right now, you're trying very hard to hide just how much this moment is genuinely affecting you." Boom. The very air around you changes. A palpable shift occurs. Now, she might initially say you're wrong. She might deflect with a nervous laugh or a subtle change of topic. But deep inside, where her true emotions reside, she will never forget that moment. Because for a fleeting second she felt utterly seen. Not for her meticulously applied makeup, not for her carefully chosen outfit, but for her raw, authentic being, her core essence. That, my friends, is profoundly powerful. That is exquisitely rare. When you speak to what she's not saying, and you do so without any hint of pressure, without any demand for validation, you bestow upon her the invaluable gift of emotional freedom. She visibly relaxes. She softens. She begins to trust, not just your words, but your intuition, your understanding. And in that nascent trust, a powerful, undeniable desire begins to grow. She craves more of that feeling, more of that profound connection, more of that exhilarating sense of being deeply understood. Because physical attraction, while important, is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. But genuine mental and emotional attunement, that, my friend, is truly priceless. Now, this doesn't imply that you should overanalyze every single one of her gestures. It certainly doesn't mean you should recklessly throw out wild, unsubstantiated assumptions about her innermost thoughts. What it does mean is that you consciously create space for what is not being explicitly said. You don't rush to fill every single silence with your own words. You allow the moment to breathe, to expand, to develop organically. And when the timing feels precisely right, you gently, subtly name the prevailing energy in the room. Not forcefully, not with an inflated ego, but with a profound sense of stillness, of centered awareness. That's when you might, with a hushed intimacy, whisper, "You don't have to say anything. I already feel it." And you hold that eye contact, that unwavering gaze, that palpable charge in the air between you. At that pivotal point, her body and her mind are no longer separate entities. They are perfectly synced, harmonized. You have successfully bridged the gap between the unspoken and the understood. And what naturally comes next unfolds organically, effortlessly. Because the man who possesses the profound ability to read her energy, to name it with precision, and to hold that emotional space for it without ever flinching, is the man she will fantasize about again and again. Not merely because of the specific words he uttered, but because of the indelible way he made her feel, without her ever needing to say a single word. What you've just learned isn't surface-level advice. It's not a collection of quick tricks or cheap tactics designed for fleeting success. It's something far deeper. It's subconscious leverage. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't chase, who doesn't overtalk, who doesn't force his will, but who still manages to leave women utterly captivated, thinking about him long after the initial moment is over. Because when you learn to speak directly to a woman's mind, when you acquire the skill to tap into her secret emotional and sensual world, you no longer need to relentlessly sell yourself. You don't need to desperately impress. You don't need to compete with other men. You simply utter a sentence, and her powerful imagination, a force unto itself, does the rest of the work for you. You've now walked through 5 potent fantasies that most women don't openly admit to, but which they dream of constantly. The fantasy of being so profoundly desired that you, a man of composure, momentarily lose control just for her. The fantasy of being seen as both exquisitely soft and alluringly dangerous, and being valued and cherished for both of those powerful facets. The fantasy of being deeply understood without ever having to articulate a single word. The fantasy of being playfully, yet boldly, unmasked, called out on her gentle facades. And finally, the fantasy of being uniquely chosen by a man who possesses countless options, yet with discerning eyes, deliberately picks her. And here's the undeniable truth. These are not fantasies you trigger with superficial good looks, vast sums of money, or loud attention-seeking behavior. You trigger them through your powerful energy, your precise language, and your heightened emotional awareness. The more grounded and centered you are within yourself, the more effortlessly irresistible you become. The more subtle and nuanced your communication, the more profoundly powerful and lasting its impact feels. The more unwavering presence you hold, the more potent desire you organically build, often without even consciously trying. So now, ask yourself, with profound honesty, are you truly ready to be that man? Not a mere player, not a superficial show-off, but the one she genuinely remembers, the one she thinks about late at night in the quiet solitude of her thoughts, the one who awakened something so profound within her that no one else, before or since, ever could. If you've made it this far, to the very end, I want to hear from you. Drop the word unstoppable in the comments right now. Let me see the men who didn't just passively watch, but who actively absorbed and internalized this powerful message. The ones who are unequivocally done begging for attraction, and who are now ready to start embodying it, radiating it from their core. Subscribe to Stoic Love for more content just like this. Hit that like button if this video profoundly shifted your thinking, if it gave you a new perspective. Share this video with a brother, a friend, who's still stuck chasing when he should be effortlessly attracting. Every single share helps us reach another man who is ready to fundamentally change his story, to reclaim his power. Supporting this channel means actively supporting transformation. It means helping men become more emotionally intelligent, more deeply grounded, and more inherently powerful in how they show up in dating, in relationships, and in life itself. So if this message resonated deeply with you, please make it resonate with someone else who needs to hear it. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And always remember, my friends, the most powerful men in the world don't force attraction. They simply plant the seed, and then, with quiet confidence, they let her imagination do the magnificent rest. See you in the next one at Stoic Love.